Right. So like I said, today, right, we are talking about um what it's like to relearn yourself after there's a transition in your life. Because I have had so many conversations recently about going through a shift, about losing somebody, about a breakup, about losing your job, about change, even the need of changing careers, right? These transition points in our lives feel really hard because you have to learn who you are again. No matter what in a transition space, you have to learn who you are again. You have to learn who you are in this space, this version of you. And that can be really difficult. That can feel really hard. That can feel really uncomfortable. That can definitely feel like, I don't really want to do that. I like who I am because it's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, which is not necessarily true. But we want to believe it. We know the hardships that are coming. We know the things that are coming along. So what do I mean by that, right? So like first things first, like I said, there are different types of shifts. Some of them are positive, some of them feel negative. To me, there's a lesson to learn in all of them. And I always feel that way. And that can be very annoying to my friends. Um, but it is true, and that's how I really feel. I feel like there's a lesson to learn in every transition, in every movement, in every happening. There's always something to get out of it, even if it feels negative at the time. Thank you for the likes, thank you for the shares. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and James, you are absolutely correct, right? It is so difficult because growing up, watching my mom, she just shut it all in. And that's what we learned. That's what we learned from a lot of people, right? That's what we learned from our parents, our grandparents. This wasn't allowed in any other time. And honestly, like literally, like the TikTok age. Yes, Instagram is a thing. And like honestly, my most dedicated clients are on Instagram. But I feel like TikTok was what opened up the world in a way that like showed people, no, other people are feeling these things too. So I internalize it, unlearn it. Trying to unlearn it is so difficult, 100%. And so I think you're really going to enjoy today's conversation, right? That is the point of us having this conversation. This is the point of me bringing these things to you because I know that they resonate. Why do they resonate? Because we're all going through it. It feels like, oh, I'm the only one going through this. And when you feel that way, that's the hardest. That's when it's the worst. That's the most difficult. That's when it just feels like wrong. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like it feels like it's bearing down on you when you feel like you're the only person to be going through this, the only person that's experiencing this. Nobody knows how I feel. And like it maybe you don't like complain about it out loud like that, like, and you totally don't have to complain about it out loud like that, like that's absolutely a thing. And it's a space for you to inhabit where if you say it, you say it, and if you don't, you don't. And ooh, knocked over my water, right? You're allowed to feel how you feel in the situations, about the situations, but acknowledging that instead of forcing it in. This is why we have poor health. Forcing our emotions down and trying to just avoid and ignore. This is why we have things wrong with us. This is why we have diseases. Not 100%, obviously, not everything, but literally a lot of it. There are also a lot of problems that people have with their minds, with things that are going on in their head, and they're like, I just can't figure it out. And I don't want to, because you're suppressing it. So it's like, I'm doing all these things and I still can't sleep. That's in your head. ED, gentlemen, is very likely in your head. The anxieties, things that you face that are like debilitating and crippling, or the stress that you feel, most likely in your head. And if you can get out of your head, if you can figure it out, ways to process these thoughts, yeah, you can get out of your head. You can come to a space that you can actually function and operate where it makes sense, where you can do something about it, where you can make a change in the way that you're carrying yourself, in the way that things hit you, right? And so that's why I keep having these conversations now, right? Oh, for sure. I've had horrible anxiety for years. This is what happens when we suppress everything, when we get it. This is how fibroids happen. This is how, like, there's so much stuff that is just like, okay, no, you actually have so much power in your head. And I feel like often when I say that to people, I say that to them directly, and it's like a little too much. And sometimes it's just a little too much. That's fine. I'm always gonna be me. It doesn't matter. But sometimes it's a little much on the direct side, right? So I appreciate the offer of wanting to co-host. Just pause. I'm sorry. I appreciate the offer of wanting to co-host. Please send me a message. I am live in multiple spaces, so I can't do that right now. Back to what I was saying. So understanding that literally there is a mental, there's an emotional, there's a physical toll from um trying to hold all these things in, trying to deny them, trying to decline them, trying to ignore them, right? In ways that, like, in any way, it just doesn't work. Funny enough, talking to my son, seeing Inside Out 2 really put that part of it in perspective. Listen, if you haven't watched Inside Out 1 and 2, go for it. If you are a person that's like, I need a more representation, I need to understand, I feel really lost, and Inside Out is a beautiful one to watch. What's the one? Somebody tell me the one on Netflix. It's like there's two of them. I know it's Human Resources is the second one, but the original show, I can't remember. All of them talk about like processing your thoughts and stuff. Like the original show might be a little weird, like because there's kids, but anyway, both cartoons, doesn't matter. Either way, all these animations help us, real people, process these thoughts in different ways. So I'm thank you for bringing that up as an example. That is perfect, right? And so you can also, I want you to think about the concept of suppressing them makes them even stronger. Girl, suppressing them makes them even stronger. It just resonates. It just builds. It just gets bigger and more, fills up more of your body until the point where you're like, you're so stressed that you can't walk, you can't get out of bed, and you can't do it. All of these things literally add up. They build up like this. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. Yes, please share, share, share. That means the world to me, and it is absolutely free. I appreciate the gifts as well. And just one thing that I really want to make sure that you are clear about here is that, like, it's normal. It is normal to feel the things. I know that's uncomfortable. It's totally normal to feel the things. It's normal to feel upset. It's normal to feel disappointed. It's normal to feel frustrated. It's normal to feel confused. It's normal to go through these things, these feelings, these emotions, these spaces in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. It is normal. So normalize actually feeling your feels. And like, I know that that's annoying. Literally, I've said that to people and they're like, and they're like, that they're annoyed by it. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't want to. Because there ain't shit to do about this right now. Feel it so that you can learn from it, so you can process it, so you can get it out. I'm sorry that that wasn't what you wanted me to say. I don't have the magic pill, even though I do feel like an hour on your mat could change your life most days. I feel like 15 minutes on your mat, if you do it every day, could change your life, right? But I'm telling you to feel it, and it's like, oh no, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted you to tell me absolutely anything else. When I get stressed, I put what I'm stressed about on a list, and when I have some time to work on one of them, I do. Beautiful, right? Listen, this is something else that I can't handle right now. Put it down, put it away. Love that. Right? Like, so sometimes you gotta give it to God, right? Like sometimes you just gotta, all right, it's not right now. Now's not the time. This ain't the one. I don't have the energy. I don't have the space. I don't have whatever. And that's real, right? Especially if stressing about it is only causing you to stress about it. Like, oh, I have this thing that I have to do by this day and I'm stressed about it. Okay, are you late on it? No. Do you have the time to work on it right now? No. All right, well, you should not be stressing about it right now. There's nothing you can do about it right now. Let's make that a little bit later. Okay? And that's fair. Be fairer to yourself. Right? And one thing that I have learned in this a lot and like in these conversations is that when you are harder on yourself, you're also harder on other people, and that makes you more stressed too. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that, like, if you're the person that is a people pleaser, or you're jumping around, or you feel like you have all these responsibilities, I got to do this, got to do that, I'm responsible for this, I have to do that, everybody's depending on me to do blah. When you feel that way and you hold all of that like tension and stress in you, as soon as somebody is like 2 minutes late, which, like, I'm from New York. Listen, I get there when I get there. When somebody's like 2 minutes late, you're like frustrated and angry and disappointed and all these other things. And like literally nobody else even noticed. When you refuse, yes, grace, grace, grace. When you refuse to give yourself grace, you have none to give anyone. Yourself, your children, your parents, your family, the strangers, co-worker, nobody. When you don't give yourself grace, it is gone. It doesn't exist, right? Or you're giving it all to one person and they run it all over you. And that is also stressful as hell. Neither one of those situations are okay. Neither one of them should be maintained. You should give yourself grace. Other people should also have some grace for you, but it is not your business to make that happen. If they don't, they don't. And you should love yourself no matter what. And that's hard, right? That is so hard. It's hard because we learn from the other people. We learn from our parents. We learn from our family members. Listen, my grandma was definitely a shoot first, ask questions later person. There's plenty of times as a child, I came up to her crying like, well, it was, but I needed this, and then like mess. Now, that is me within me always needing to express myself, right? that has come from me innately. That has been a part of my life because I've had to. I had to defend myself at that point. She learned some lessons. We had some great conversations, me and that old lady, in her life that not everybody gets to have with their parent. So that is part of my experience and part of the reason why I'm here. And why I do what I do, why I feel empowered to do what I do and have these conversations, right? And then the other part of it is like, okay, so now once you've done that, you've already hurt my feelings. You've already caused the pain. You've already caused the tears. And then we're back to the very beginning where you're uncomfortably watching somebody feel their feelings and you feel the guilt. You didn't have to do that to nobody. You didn't have to do it to yourself. You didn't have to do it to that person. You didn't have to be in this situation. And I know that that's hard. Remember, I am saying this as it is hard. I'm also saying that you don't have to process things the way I do. Like, I've received a lot of compliments in the last couple of weeks. Like, oh, wow, Stacia, you've handled this so confidently, so comfortably. Like, you've shown me a different way. Like, there can be joy on the other side of grief. There can be stability. If I love myself enough, if I know myself well enough, from there, if things happen, they happen, but I'll be okay. And that's it. Did I expect this to happen? Hell no. I say that all the time. I did not expect things to happen. I don't want these things to happen. I don't want to be in a space that is negative. I don't want to be in a space where my feelings are hurt, where I'm betrayed, all this stuff, right? But I am. So I need to cope. And that's how that works. I am in a space. I am in a place where things have happened. I am in a place where I'm processing things. This is me going through it. I live my life out loud here. Do you think you see every day of my life? Because you shouldn't. You shouldn't think you see every moment. You shouldn't think you see all the things that you know everything that happens, all the things that I'm feeling. You should not feel that way. I don't post enough for that. You're not in my life all the time for it to be that. Some people may feel that way. And then other people, it's like, all right, well, then I don't know what's really going on. Yeah. You don't need to know every detail of my life. I am very clear about feeling the feelings, and that's important. I've got comments. I think that's what's the scary realization. I don't know myself, only who everyone wants me to be. Yes, that is a very scary place. And honestly, that's where a lot of my clients come to me, where they're like, I feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm trying to learn, which is why I'm talking to you about it. I always say to myself, I cause my own suffering at times. That's when I need some internal work. Yes. Yes, Miss Angus. Yes. Like, so that's absolutely it, right? Like, I know that the work is internal because the results also need to be internal. If I was just looking for the approval of this person because of a thing, like maybe you get hired for something or you want to do a nice gesture for a person, yeah, them to approve. You want them to like it. You want, etc. But when it's just like just being and doing what you're supposed to be doing, yeah, that's okay. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody else has to jump for joy. You got done what you were supposed to get done. Check. That should feel good to you. And when it doesn't, now we need to question some things, right? So what does it mean to relearn who you are? What does it mean to find that space? I'm 53, it took me half a century to see this, and I'm still working on it always. And yes, always. We are consistently working on ourselves. Anything that is not growing is dying. I'm not on my deathbed yet. That's it. But exploring who you are now, that is something that is I've always talked about. People have asked me, like, obviously, it's questionable, but the concept of like meeting new friends, meeting a new partner, dating, going out, like having fun, finding people to connect with. You have to go. One, two, you have to do. Do things that make you happy. Do things that you like. And if you don't know what that is, that's amazing. Explore. A little scary, I know. Do some research, but then explore. There's got to be local events to you. There's got to be things that are happening nearby you, whether you do want to date and it's a singles event, singles pages. I live in Orlando now. I'm from New York, as everybody knows, right? I just posted on my New York food earlier, so you can go watch that. But all right, the concept, like, I'm in Orlando now. I joined a Facebook group for Black women making friends in Orlando or in Florida or something like that. Search for it. Try to be specific in your area if you need to make friends. And obviously, if you're not a Black woman, then don't go to that page. Go to the page that makes sense to you, right? So if it's a matter of like you want to make content creator friends, content creators in blah, you want to make mom friends, mommy something classes, mommy meetups, mommy reading books, reading groups, right? Things like that. Like, the spaces exist so much now, y'all. Like, when we grew up and our parents grew up, like when we grew up and then before, right? You literally had the people in your neighborhood. That's all you had. That's it. You ain't like them, they ain't like you, too bad. That's it. That's really it. And then you go to school and it's like, oh, okay, so I met some people at school that I like. They like this, we have this in common, cool. Or you go play sports. Oh, okay, these people, they do this. Or classes, dance class, the gym. And like, as I got older, right, I made connections at the gym, at the YMCA. That was always fun. I have several, and I mean, also I became a teacher, but that was later. But like, I was making connections with the people in the classes at the time. And then when I became an instructor, that was different. I became friends with all the instructors and I got to know people that way. You're in situations where you can connect with folks, unless you're holding yourself back, unless you're hiding yourself, which I'm not saying you're not allowed to hide yourself, but acknowledge if you are lonely and hiding yourself, you're doing the work to get the results that you're getting. Congratulations. Consider it. Consider what you're doing. Consider the situations you're putting yourself in. I always talk about, like, I will share it to my story because I love it. But Beth, who is a yoga instructor as well, who has attended and will have attended literally all of my retreats thus far, all the way until Cartagena, like the ones that haven't happened yet. Right now, she is booked, right? And so I always appreciate yoga teachers that respect my teaching and my practice enough that for them to say, no, I will go on Seisha's retreat. Two, I put up her testimonial from Bali a few weeks ago. Well, yeah, whatever. When we came back from Bali, I put up her testimonial from Bali. And one thing that she said was like, I don't meet people. I don't like people. But when we come to these retreats, it's like you attract the right people. This is part of the reason why I love retreats. Like, people ain't spending $3,000 to be a jerk in general. Rich people, sure, because that's nothing, right? But like real people, no, not in this economy. That's just the case, right? So you're not spending that money in order to be an ass. Like, it just doesn't work that way, right? Oh, and that brings up a good point that I've opened up the spots for a day pass part of my Orlando retreat. I wasn't sure how many spaces I was going to have, so I kind of held back for a while, but we're about a month out of, we only have a month open, I should say, to sell those day passes. So if you are in Orlando, you're a local person, you didn't need to pay for that accommodation part, you don't need to pay for the accommodation part. Book your spot, get your day pass. You can come to all the things. We do the daytime transportation. You just need to get there in the morning and go back home at night because we don't have a bed for you. So if you're interested, check that out. That is on my website, thickthighyoga.com, as in everything, thickthighyoga.com. Back to what I was saying, right? Understanding that is a part of it, right? I just put up clips from the retreat that I taught at this weekend. Finding spaces that really mean something to you, finding spaces where you can be comfortable, finding spaces where people are doing the things that you want to do, right? So this is a yoga retreat. This is a wellness retreat. Are you looking for yoga? Are you looking for wellness? Are you looking for a space to express yourself? There's writers retreats, there's reading, there's nature, there's hiking, there's all types of things that you can actually look for and find the spaces for you to do it. And if you're saying, well, I only want to do this with Black people, search it. Don't tell yourself it doesn't exist until you know for sure it doesn't exist. Now, I'm the kind of person that if it doesn't exist, I'm gonna make it, right? But if I'm passionate about it, because I can't do it at every single place in all of the spaces in all of the world. I created this space for women with curvier bodies that want to do yoga and move their bodies in a healthy way and get to learn themselves better. That has completely transformed my life. My business is crazy right now. I sold out a retreat in less than 6 weeks. I opened up the second week now. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening for me because I poured into the space that was appropriate for me. That's what I'm saying. And so you need to take the space to say, maybe I need to try this. I've always wanted to try this. Let me try it out. Maybe it's trying something on YouTube until you're ready to go to the class. Maybe it's finding an event like with somebody who is technically a friend of yours, or somebody you connected with in the area that you don't know super well. And then you're like, but do you want to go to this, I don't know, sip and paint with me and have fun there and have a good time and maybe connect with other people that are nearby you, people that want to do the things you want to do. This is how you get to know yourself, get to know the people that are the right folks to have around you. Have the experiences, have faith that you can pour into these experiences, and one, just enjoy the day, enjoy the night, enjoy the class, enjoy the moment, enjoy that minute, right? That set of time. You are allowed to enjoy that time as what it is. And then from there, say, okay, where do I go from here? What else do I want to experience? What is this like? What is the next thing? Take the baby steps. Write down a list of things you want to do. You have the option to basically just identify the things that are important to you and release the things that really aren't anymore. So this whole conversation stemmed from a girl asking me. She commented on one of my posts in the past couple weeks. Past week, I should say. I want to love myself this much, but what if my person intertwined themselves in everything that I do? And now I don't feel like I even know who I am. I don't feel like I know where to go from here. And I get it. When you live a life that is filled with someone, and that could literally be a parent, a sibling, a partner, your dog, like anybody. It can be any of these things, right? When you live a life that's filled with this, it does feel like, well, half of me was ripped out. What do I do now? You figure it out. You figure it out because you always have. You figure it out because you can. You figure it out because all of this, all of this was meant to happen, right? So quick tangent question, but I will answer it because it makes sense, right? How did you get into yoga and that became your calling? So this is exactly an amazing example, right? So when I got into yoga, my best friend got into yoga. I got into yoga honestly because I was a school teacher and I wanted to put bring mindfulness practices into my classroom. I was a special ed teacher for 9 years in New York City. And in that process, I also, because I was a school teacher and we don't get paid enough, I also picked up yoga teaching, like just teaching yoga classes. I was so excited to teach yoga in my hood. I'm from South Jamaica, Queens. South side, stand up. And I always felt othered in the space. Like growing up half Chinese in the 90s was not very normal versus like the amount of mixed children that there are now. But my body has been this. I could probably fit into my middle school clothes right now. That wasn't always true. I'm just saying that I probably could now based on how I'm built, right? And so my body has always been this, is what I'm saying. I could definitely fit in my high school clothes right now. But having this representation, there were no representation of bodies like this when we were growing up. If you remember them, write them down, please. Like maybe Jackie a little bit. And then other than that, and like those were always moms, right? Moms, aunties, things like that. And it's like, no. I'm a literal child. I was a teenager. I was just That doesn't exist. If you know who, write it down. But if not, drop a heart in there because you know, right? Hey, so so right, having that having that space where I got into teaching yoga, and like interacting with people in this way, sharing my story, talking to them about what their bodies are actually capable of, brought me to this space where I teach mindset shifting yoga. I bring people to spaces they never thought they would be in. I teach people with bigger bodies what they're capable of. I fucking love it. I love that I get to do this. I do feel very called. I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. My grandmother, that I always talk about, she raised me. My grandma raised three different educators, three generations of educators, literally. So it was innate. But this is what I want to do, right? Because once I got into these yoga teaching spaces and people started talking more, and I started talking on the internet and all that stuff, y'all want to learn from me. Y'all want to come to me. Y'all want to work with me. My little special ed babies in Brooklyn don't want to be in my math class. And that's not because of me, because I promise they actually do. They or did, I should say. And especially in conversation with them, with paras, with whatever, they wanted to be in my class more than they wanted to be in a lot of other classes. But still, that bell rang. There's a kid-shaped hole in the door, right? So it's not that exciting for you if you don't want to be there. Somebody's comment just got censored. So, one, maybe it's the way you said it. Two, watch your mouth. Um, anyway, so I wanted to create that space. I love creating this space, being able to create space for women that have different bodies, bigger bodies, curvier bodies, look different, for Black women, women of color, brown women, people that don't feel representation, all of that, right? I check a lot of boxes. And I say that because I want to be able to create that space. You don't have to have 100% in common with, honestly, anyone literally born on earth, in order to be able to connect with them. That's not how that works. Some things, right? So you get to find your people. You get to find new people. You get to find new spaces. You get to find new places to like be and love and thrive. There's like, you can take a dance class. You can take, like I said, you can join a yoga studio. You can take a set of pole sessions, something. Try different things. Get it outside of your comfort zone. Find the representation. Find the people. If you want to hike with people who speak Spanish only, I am 99% sure you can find that not that far away from you, especially as close as the nearest hike spot. Okay? If that's what you want. I know that was a very specific example, but that's my point. That is exactly my point. You are allowed to relearn who you are in this moment. Find new people, find new spaces, find things that really resonate with you, find places that feel like home, right? And sometimes home was crazy. So you're welcome. Sometimes home is crazy. So maybe you don't need to find somebody that feels like your childhood home. You need to find somebody that feels like a soul settling home. Find a place that feels like a soul settling home. I'm a Pisces. I feel that way anytime there's water, beach, lake, honestly, pool. I can do it. It feels good. Your perspective is so refreshing. Thank you. I try, right? And I find home. I love talking to y'all. Since I stopped working, and then like that was the last year of grandma's life, so I spent a lot of time with her. I spent a lot of time like with her and her family. I have been inside for real. Like I've been so inside. So like I love talking to y'all. This is the point too. I get joy out of this. I get joy out of opening eyes. I get joy out of educating. I get joy out of this space. Pisces gang. Right? So this is just what it is. Like I love sharing the things. I love to make it make sense. That's the point. That was always my job as a special ed teacher. I always said that, and I still say it now. Access to the information is the biggest thing. It needs to make sense when you're hearing it, and usefulness. How can you use this? Because again, those kids in my math class, I was fine with teaching them algebra. When y'all want me to teach them geometry, listen, they need to do a financial literacy. We need to be real about it. We need to make things applicable. It's foolish to waste your time. I don't like wasting my time. It's a mess. And so the point, right? Once you find these things, once you find these spaces, once you start to say like, oh, this was fun. And honestly, Maybe your version of fun is finding some new stuff to do all the time. Eventbrite, great place to look for things to do, even free things, right? In your area, in your neighborhood, this type of stuff, this group putting something on. Find it. It exists. It's probably on Facebook too. If you're still on Facebook, it is useful for that at the very least. That, and then check in on your auntie, and then that's it. But take this time to detach from the past as much as you can, because the future is so bright. There's so much more that is possible for you. There's so much space for you to take up. There's so much more for you to learn and embrace and grow into and just be in a way that maybe you weren't allowed to before. You felt like you weren't allowed to before, or it has been hard for you to embrace. Because that's the thing, like, we honestly grew up, which, drop a heart if this resonates with you too. We grew up trying to follow certain rules, right? We have this expectation. Things are going to be like this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Baby, I need to be writing these gems down. So one, maybe you do. Two, maybe you get your journal, because then, this could be helpful for you in this process. Also available at thick.yoga.com and Amazon. But also, it's on my YouTube. It's going to be in a YouTube replay. If you ever wanted to hear any of these conversations, this is what I do. I go live every Thursday, this Thick Thigh Thursday. So you can go to my YouTube channel. You can watch the replays. You can take the notes. You can write it down. You can take the clips in your head. Whatever it is, like, learn your lesson. Take a stroll. I'm pretty good. Just saying. Take a stroll down that. See what you can pick up. Because, like, this is me. I want to share the knowledge. I'm not holding it back. And if you feel like you want more, then this is when you say, you know what, I need to book sessions, or I need to get my spot on the retreat, or I need to be here because you feel like you need to be here. Someone commented on my literally sold out Cartagena retreat post and was like, well, this feels like fake self-care vibes. Oh, baby, don't come. Okay? Do not come. That's okay. You don't need to. This clearly isn't a space for you. That's cool. You don't vibe with it. Wonderful. The people who are going to be here do. The people who are supposed to be here will be here. That's fully how I feel about it. And that's it. Just like I feel about the lives. I feel like if you were meant to be here and be a part of the conversation and put in your input and ask the questions, then you were meant to have this experience, right? Turn your notifications on so you make sure that you're here. You want to be a part of this experience. And if you don't have to. But you can also go to my YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube, right? Everyone isn't your client or your audience. That's absolutely it, right? That's okay. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. I invite the space. I create the space. I feel very comfortable creating the space. I also feel very comfortable closing the door. You don't need to be a part of it. It's not meant for you. You're harsh in the vibe. Whatever. And I can do that because I'm very comfortable with who I am. I know what I represent. I know what I have to say. I know who I should be around. I know whose energy ain't it, right? And so I know if I'm feeling that way about you or you're feeling that way about me, that's okay. You don't have to be here. It's totally fine. The people that are meant to be here will be here. Well, as a first timer, this has been great and very eye-opening. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Please make sure you follow, turn on your notifications. Like I said, I go live every Thursday. I didn't go last Thursday because I was at the retreat. Still, it's every Thursday unless something special or crazy or travel is happening, unless there's a retreat, unless there's a thing. And so I do want to go back to journaling. So two things, just a quick shameless plug. Yes, these are my journals. This one is blank. This one is gratitude-based. This is what's going to help you find that joy if you're lost and you want to have that personal one-on-one, like, I just want to have a conversation with myself, but I need it to be guided. This is the guided conversation with yourself. There are also some trackers in here to help you, like, figure out your life, figure out the way you want to do things. There's a lot of prompts, there's things like that. And then there's just a blank journal that is cute. And she has little chubby girls in here. So, like, I love it. I like it. Like, it's just I designed it. I love it. I don't put out things I don't love because then I would stress myself out. So if you were looking for something, if you were llooking for a way to support me, if you were looking for something to share, if you were looking for a Christmas gift, if you were looking for a journal, if you were looking for some place new to write down your grocery list, you can get one of these. I would appreciate it. But in all seriousness, like, well, that's serious too. Yes, buy it. But the journaling is, to me, like such a fantastic way to have a conversation with yourself. Have a conversation with yourself that may be too scary to have out loud right now. Have a conversation with yourself that may be confusing so that when you actually say it out loud, it makes more sense to you, right? Have a conversation where you're writing things down, where you're putting it on paper, where you can say, this is what happened. Because so for me, right, I have a traumatized childhood. So I also have a decently poor memory with a lot of things. Going to buy a journal right now. Yes, thank you so much. The link is in my bio. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, Emma. But it is in my bio. Send me a message and I'll definitely send it to you. Because I'm not writing this down right now. But so taking that time to have the conversation, taking that time to journal, to say, this is the situation, this is how I feel, writing things down, I am able to reflect back on what happened in that moment. Maybe I'm PMSing. Maybe I'm just feeling crazy. Maybe I'm overworked and underslept, underfed, stressed out. So my opinions are skewed, right? And on the other side of that, maybe I'm ovulating. Maybe everything's great. Maybe somebody accidentally gave me an extra croissant in my bag today, and now I'm on 1,000, right? And so I'm seeing things with rose-colored glasses. I am wrong, or everything's great or whatever, right? I get to either way. If I write it down, then I get to record that experience, that feeling, the way I get to express how I'm feeling. And after I've expressed it, I can reflect back on it. I can take it back. I can say, wait a minute, what was I thinking? How does this work? Is this still true? Do I still feel this way? Do I want to feel differently? Do I like this feeling? Do I like this space? If I don't know how I felt, when it was, what caused it, what it was connected to, then I don't know how to get back to that or avoid it. Right? A lot of us go through problems like 7 times before we're like, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. And like, when it's something small, like you didn't get a napkin before you sat down, it's small. We forget little things like that all the time. If you forget that when men have jobs like police officer or fireman, you are triggered because you have abandonment issues and they could just be gone in the middle of the night, then you should stop dating those type of men. Not because necessarily anything's wrong with them or you're incompatible. That's something that you can learn by just writing some stuff down every now and again, and more consistently than not, right? And like, maybe that resonated with you, what I said, like, oh snap, how did she know? And maybe it didn't, but you're seeing how maybe this. That's the thing about the journaling. That's the thing about writing it down. It's so tailored to you. It's just you. There's nobody else there. You and paper. You and maybe it's an e-journal. Both of these journals also come in a digital version. They do. There's the e-journal. There we go. There's the e-journal. The ebook version is on my website, and the trackers are available for free on thinkboutyoga.com. If you go into my journals, my digital products, you'll see it there. It's a free download. It's a gift for you. You do have to go through the checkout process, but it's $0. So if you were looking for somewhere to start and you want to just check out kind of what that looks like from me, feel free to take a look at that and get your free copies. And then if you really want that physical journal, order it. I suggest just trying it out as far as like taking the time to reflect. Maybe for you it's voice notes though. So that's a real thing. Maybe for you it's voice notes. Put down voice notes, take time to record it. Maybe you play it back so you can hear it, put dates, put names, put details, put something there to help you. But like, you don't have to do it how I do it. You don't have to do it the way you've seen before. You just have to try something for you. I hope that makes sense. And I'm always trying to be helpful if it doesn't make sense, right? Go to my website, book a consultation, we'll figure it out. And so this is bringing me to the end of the live, y'all. So if there's any questions that you had, any further questions, please ask right now. Ask. I would love to know if you have something to add, some thoughts, right? Because I know sometimes it's like, well, how do I start journaling if I haven't done it before? Or like, I don't feel like I have time for that kind of self-discovery. And it's like, well, honestly, like you don't have time because you're not putting in the time. It's not that you don't. You have time for everything. And I don't mean that like you have time to sit for 4 hours and languish and sob. That is not real. You have 10 minutes, you have 15 minutes. That scrolling that you were doing that makes you depressed, yeah, don't do that. And write for like 10 minutes. hmm And if you scrolled for 45 minutes, you could really start with that 10. Okay. And then if you still want to do the half an hour, the extra, then take it. You have the space because it's there and it exists. Um, if you, right, like the concept of seeing the things, I feel like women that have children, basically, right, like new moms, and moms that are going through different phases in their lives with their children, right, like just like the movies, right, that James was just talking about. That's not for your newborn, right? Your newborn's not going to reflect with you on that. But you're going to come to a new space with them. You're going to come to a new space with your child, with your significant other, with all that. Like there's spaces, there's places, there's ways for you to explore this together. There's ways for you to have the conversations. There's ways for you to learn yourself in new ways. And then if you don't have any of those things, find where is that space for you, right? If it's a matter of like listening to an audiobook that helps you reflect or helps ask you some questions, right? You can look into like any of the manifestation or like Brene Brown or just there's a lot of people. Like I said, you could put on TikTok Thursdays, the replays. They're on YouTube. Find them. They're on my page. I think there's a whole category. It's a whole page. I made it. It's a playlist. You ain't got to look for it. It's there. These conversations, they happen so you can hear it. It's my voice. Same thing with yoga. If you're like, I don't know what to do with yoga. Yep. I have beginner-friendly yoga classes. I have a half an hour one that starts with on your butt on the floor. So if you want to complain about it's not accessible, then you're not actually looking or trying. And like that's the thing too. If that's the mental space that you're in, then don't do it. If it's not something you want to do, you're going to stress yourself out by trying it. You're going to stress yourself out by forcing it. Try it in a way that makes sense for you. Try it in a way that feels like, all right, I can try this. Just saying, I would definitely listen to an audiobook with your voice. Thank you. That honestly, with my podcast equipment and stuff. Oh, there's a podcast too, Black on the Mat. You can listen to the first season. That's also available on YouTube. And we have a retreat coming up in August next year. So that will be coming up. Information will be forthcoming in probably late September, mid-September. But that gives you about a year to like get it together. And there'll be payment plans, there'll be all types of information. So make sure you're on my mailing list at thick.yoga.com as well. And obviously I'll be talking about it, we'll go live about it, all the things. Like make sure your notifications are on. If you want to be here, if you want to be a part of this, I tell you all the things. So that you are here to be told. Okay. So closing thoughts here are that transitions are hard. Transitions are hard. And even though, I love you too, even though transitions are hard, they are possible. You are capable. You have quite literally made it through all the BS that you have been put through until right now. Me and you right here in this moment. If you didn't survive, you wouldn't be here to have the conversation. You did it. You can do it again. You can do it in a way that makes sense. You can do it in a way that feels good to your soul and your body and your mind. You can. If you're having trouble believing in that, then have more of a conversation. Maybe it's time for the journaling. Maybe it's time for a session. Maybe we should have a one-on-one chat. Maybe it's a counseling session. Maybe it's a therapy session. One thing that I love about like coaching, life coaching versus like therapy is that I can tell you all types of wild stuff. I can be very direct. Therapists kind of got to dance around it and let you get there. And I'm not saying that one is necessarily better than the other, because sometimes, yes, you actually need to dance around it and get there, because me saying it to you directly is not going to land until you figure it out. So there's a space for both. I'm just saying what I do. Right. I also had a Thick Thigh Thursday about like when you know you need to go to a therapist and like how to choose a therapist. All those questions were in there. One of my good friends, Ricky, she is a therapist. She also runs retreats. She does these things. So like there's information to find in the Thick Thigh Thursdays too. Go back on YouTube, run it down, check it out, see what you need to see, feel your way through, find the things, right? But remember, you've made it through absolutely everything you needed to make it through to get here right now today. You'll be okay tomorrow too. You just have to believe in it more. And I believe in it for you. So I think it's possible. So with that said, If you're looking for more, please go to thickthighyoga.com. Find the space that makes sense for you. Join the newsletter, join the email list. Maybe you join a retreat. Maybe you get a journal. Maybe you book a session. You can also join the Thighberry. I have my online library of classes where you can play back those classes all you want, all month. It's $25 a month, which is a really good deal. And if you go right now, you'll see that there's a free code for a free month to start your Thighberry membership, because I want to give people the option to try it out. Get there, give it a chance. It's my voice, it's my sessions. Check out the YouTube if you're like, well, what does that sound like? Try it out. I have the options there. If you actually want to take them, they are yours. I want you to be there. I want to work with you in case there was any question about that. Okay. I love you all so greatly. Thank you so much for being here. If you need to play it back, if you had more questions, if you felt like you missed something, check out the YouTube video now. And